Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We are doing a alternate scenario. What if China invaded Taiwan? This is a very discussed scenario across all topics. Obviously, Taiwan went with a fight as many forces from Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, and the United States all withdrew. See now, if China, if this were a real scenario and China took Taiwan, here is what would happen in the world. Obviously, with China taking Taiwan, the war isn't over. China can celebrate and celebrate, but the war, with at least with the entirety of Asia and the United States, isn't over. What would happen now is the US and the Philippines would both send their naval forces around the South China Sea in this area. With the US military and the Navy being in this area, and with many US forces being in the Philippines, China was still under threat, as bombing campaigns throughout the entirety of the area, throughout the southern area of China, would occur, along with a Vietnamese counterattack in the south. Obviously, the United States and the Pacific cannot launch a Normandy type invasion into China. They can't do a D-Day type invasion. It would just be way too impossible. China has very sophisticated terrain and way too many forces to be able to do an operation like this. But what the US and their Pacific allies can do to counteract in this situation would be to invade or try and take back Taiwan. See, now, that wouldn't be a very easy thing to do because, you know, let's look at Taiwan's terrain. Now, if we look at Taiwan's terrain, we can see, those look like hills and mountains to me in this area. See, now, taking back Taiwan would be a very difficult task, and obviously the United States and the Pacific would try everything in their power to take back Taiwan because it's such an important thing, such an important island, not thing, sorry. A lot of chips, like in your iPhone, in your Samsung, whatever phone you use, whether it be your laptops, your phone, chips basically in anything that you own are made on this tiny island. They're made here. It's one of the most advanced islands in the world. It's a really nice place as well. And it would be very heavily defended with Chinese forces to not allow some type of Normandy landing in Taiwan, especially. This is an island that China really wants because of the chips, because of everything that's made there, and they want to reunite the country, obviously. If we go back here, we can see that there are many enemies of China surrounding here, such as North Korea, Japan, Philippines, and Vietnam. To take back Taiwan, the United States would need to have a large amount of military force. But there's a slight problem with that. The slight problem with that the slight problem with that is the US would need to implement the draft. And here's the thing, a lot of Americans, a majority of Americans, are not fond of American militarism. They are not fond of the military. And with the US military declining every single day in numbers in the active military personnel, it's not looking good for the US military in terms of numbers. While the US military does beat China in terms of tanks, planes, naval power, China does have more ships, but they're not as modern. That is a slight edge the United States has, but China has the largest military in the world, and they have the second largest population in the world, which allows them to get more people in their military. Except for the United States. The United States can obviously draft a huge amount of numbers as well, but not as much as China would, which is the problem in this war. China has the numbers, but they don't have the technological power as the United States or Japan does. Obviously, there's a lot of US military bases in South Korea, Japan, and the Philippines. A lot of people in those countries are not fond of the US being there, especially the Philippines, I've heard. But that's a discussion for another day. That's actually going to be the next video. Hint, hint. Obviously, the US trying to get political power and military power in that area would try and go for different countries to align with them, like Singapore. And this is why Singapore would be vital in this scenario and in this war. It would be really vital for them to be on the US side. If you see this little area, a lot of trade goes through this strait. A lot of trade goes through there, especially a lot of Chinese trade. And if the US military can pierce the trade here, they can cut off China in terms of the water, basically from the Strait of Hormuz to here. They can cut off China from here, and all the trade that should have, I don't know where Egypt went over there. All the trade that goes through the Suez Canal, which would be in this area, would also be cut off. It's not impossible for China to still receive trade. It would just be very difficult and a very long route. Obviously, this is if Indonesia doesn't join the US side, but because China has a lot of influence over Indonesia in terms of economy wise, I don't think Indonesia would go against the United States, but I also don't think they would want to go against China as well. And now, a lot of you guys are probably going to mention, what about North Korea? I don't think North Korea would intervene. Simply, North Korea, they have a large military, almost the size of the United States military. But the military is not modern. They don't have modern weapons. They have they have nukes, but they don't have that many. Basically, North Korea doesn't compare to any of these countries, which is why I truly believe if North Korea were to join in on the side of China, they would get brutally destroyed by only South Korea even. They may have the numbers, but they definitely 100% don't have the technological power to fight against everyone everyone here. They really don't. Russia would also not intervene because they have their own problems, obviously, on this side of the globe. Now, we are going to be doing a part 2 on this as well. The next video after this topic will be a. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know this is kind of like a fast-paced video. I understand I will go into more detail, but next video, next week on Thursday, will be really interesting because this is a really good topic that I've always wanted to talk about. And I promise it'll be a really good topic. And it's actually a topic that one of my friends recommended me. And I love y'all. Have a great day. See you guys next week on Thursday. Have a great day.